This is exercise 3 for the additional mates and sub-assemblies lesson. Starting point files are required. In this assembly, we'd like to look at flexible sub-assemblies within an assembly. So to begin, let's go ahead and select New and select the inch assembly template. Once our inch assembly template's open, we'll start by selecting the thumbtack to keep this dialog visible, and we can begin inserting parts. Browse to your exercise 3 folder and insert starting point file 1. Select the OK check mark to drop that part file on the origin, and then select Browse, select starting point file 2, and drop that in the graphics area and select Browse. And this time we need to verify that we can see either assemblies or all files, and we want to insert starting point file 3-1, and this is an assembly, so it'll become a sub-assembly within our assembly. Let's insert 2 of those to start, and then select OK to finish inserting part files. Now these part files don't have any clearance designed into them, so we can simply mate faces. Let's start by selecting Q, or selecting the mate command on the toolbar, and then we'll select the faces that need to mate together. To lock the orientation of this sliding block, we'll simply mate one of its faces to a corresponding face. Now it may be necessary to activate the face filter, and to do so, remember, we can just select the X key. And now we're filtering the faces, and this will assist us in creating our mates. For mating in these arms, simply select 2 of the concentric holes that are vertical with each other, and then we can mate the sides of the arm to the inside face of the slot. I'll continue and mate another arm in place. Well, I tried to grab that face, and I got the accept mate check mark in the top corner instead, so I just had to reactivate my mates, and now I'll select OK. So I have 2 arms in here, and we can see that this assembly is not moving. Why is it not moving? Well, it's not moving because those sub-assemblies are not flexible. To make them flexible, select the sub-assembly on the feature tree, select Component Properties, and select Flexible, and select OK. Now one of these sub-assemblies is flexible, but the assembly still cannot move, and this is because this rigid sub-assembly is still locking the travel of that slider. So just because I've made one flexible doesn't mean that both sub-assemblies that are identical will become flexible. I need to also select this sub-assembly, select Component Properties, and select Flexible. And now we can select OK. And now that both are flexible, we've got travel. Now you'll see that things are flipping right inside. So what we need to do to correct that problem is we're going to add another mate. I'll press Q. We want to add a mate to limit the travel of this slider. We don't want a coincident. We want an advanced mate, an advanced distance mate, with a minimum of 1.875, 1 7/8, and a maximum of 4 inches. And now we can select OK. And now we don't have to worry about our part flipping inside of itself. And the next thing I'd like to show you is how to bring parts or assemblies in from the feature tree. To do so, simply hold Control, select one of the parts or assemblies, and drag it in. We need 4 more of these parts. And you can see that because I'm dragging in an assembly that was already made to be flexible, it's maintaining those flexible states. Now we can just conclude by adding our remaining mates to fully lock in all of these arms, and that will conclude this assembly. So I'm just going through, adding each of my mates. It is important to note that these are patterned around, and there is a assembly feature that can pattern them. However, in this case, we didn't use that feature just to show the possibility of having a flexed and a rigid version of the same assembly within an assembly. You also see sometimes as you add your mates, oh, I may have added one too many. Anyway, sometimes as you add your mates, things don't quite jump to exactly where they're supposed to be. Oh, I got that backwards. So I put that one on backwards. I can again just simply go down to my mates, select the mate that I just had, edit the feature of it, and instead of that outside face, I need this inside face in here. And I can continue adding my mates. I'll just drag this so I can see it. Throw that mate in there. And we are all done. I just can get rid of this extra arm. So I'll just select the arm, press delete. Do you really want to delete this component? Yes, I do. It's now gone. You'll see even though the assembly has motion, these flexible sub-assemblies don't have a negative sign beside them because they're fully defined. They're just fully defined, leaving the flexibility from the previous assembly. So they are fully defined within our assembly. Anyway, with that complete, we've completed this lesson. I hope it was a help.